Hey, what's up, everyone? So tonight I want to talk about the powerhouse effect and basically what that looks like as far as the energy that you produce. And so when I talk about the energy you produce, it could be something as far as work related, it could be life related as far as with your family, your friends, just how you go about throughout the day, your energy levels, and then how you basically just perceive and or take on any task. And so when I'm talking about energy levels and how our body actually produces energy, I want to talk about the powerhouse, which is the mitochondria. And so what the mitochondria is, if you're not familiar with this, is part of the cell. So our body's made up of over 40 billion cells. Part of the cell that actually produces the energy that it gives for us to basically function. And whether it's to fight off disease, help boost our immune system, but also just give us that in general energy to be productive, whether it's movement throughout the day and or just to be active. And so this reminds me real quick of a story, and I'll kind of relate this into the talk. But back in high school when we were playing soccer, I remember one time we had what's called like a double header where you have like games back to back, and we played one soccer game, it was all fun and games, and then all of a sudden we had this break in between. Well, it was probably about, I would say maybe 1 to 2 o'clock in the afternoon, but we hadn't eaten lunch yet. So our coach took us all to what was called Rosa's there in Texas, and this is like a Mexican food place. So it's kind of funny because that's not something you're probably gonna go eat right before your next game, put it that way. And so I just remember all of us going, and as kids in high school, it was something that we just really loved that place because the food obviously was really good to us as far as taste-wise, probably the healthiest. But performance, then when we went to go play the next game, which is Little League, we had to rush through eating, which was it consisted of tortillas and Mexican food. Went to go play the next game probably about 30 minutes after we ate, and we were horrible. We probably lost like 10 or 12 to nothing that game. I remember it was one of the worst games we ever played. But that's basically how most people live their life. They're eating horrible food, and they're hoping for great results. And so their productivity is very low, their energy level is low, and they're just not able to go out and perform. And so this is the key to life, is understanding how to perform on a daily basis, but also sustainability long term, to where it's like a marathon that you're able to provide your effort, your energy, and your health long term so you can fight off disease. And so there's 3 simple things. I want you to remember this because it's really easy that if you can master these 3 things, then your life can be a lot easier. And what they found is mitochondria basically become dysregulated whenever you mess these 3 things up here. So I'm going to tell you what these 3 things are, and then I'm going to go a little bit more in depth. But the first one is sleep. How good are we getting at our sleep, as far as, are we having a good deep sleep? How many hours? Everyone's going to be a little bit different on this. You're going to have to find out what's best for you on the amount of hours of sleep, but then really not so much just sleep, but also depth of sleep, the deep sleep. Second is inactivity. People are not moving. They're not active. So they're not flushing out their system of the toxins, getting in the good nutrients to where it needs throughout the body so that cell can actually function and do its job. And then the third one is stress. And we all know when stress is present, it basically shuts our system down. And so when we have a high stress system, we have an acidic body. So that puts that cell where that mitochondria is at a position where it can't function. It can't do its job. It then shuts down. And that also shuts our immune system down. So mitochondria have a big part to do with our immune system and our overall gut health. And so if we can control those 3 factors, whether it's diet related, stress related, sleep related, then we can control a lot. And if you think about it, it's actually pretty simple. We eat healthier, we feel better, we're more productive. So I always tell people, it's like when you eat something, think about not only how you're going to feel right now, but in 10 minutes from now, an hour from now, 2 hours, 3 hours, because eat for productivity, not always for taste. Not to say you can't always eat for taste, but eating for taste is more of kind of like a leisure thing when you're going out with your friends for a social event. On a daily basis, when you're trying to keep a strict routine, and this comes into more of a power play of autonomy and having an agency of saying, I'm going to control my own health, my own habits, and that's where you're going to be able to dictate your life health-wise, not only health-wise, but financially-wise, because you're going to save yourself a lot of money. You're going to be more productive in your activities and your physical well-being, as far as being able to travel or be active and just go out and about, but actually enjoy your life. And that's really what people want, is joy in life, but they take it away from themselves over a period of time by certain habits that they can't control. And so that's where you need to have that autonomy and your own agency to control your body and keep things where you want it to be. When they talk about mitochondria, they talk about it being the powerhouse because it's kind of like a power plant. Power plants are like capacitors. They can basically store and release energy at a higher pace than, like, for example, like a battery. And so there's differences of why they would relate this to, certain energy sources where we need to, one, not only store it really quick, but release it really quick. And so if we don't have a good control of our diet, our sleep, and our stress levels, our gut health, then basically all of a sudden we lose that ability to control our blood sugar levels. Thus, we lose the ability to control how much inflammation we have within our arteries, cardiovascular disease, pretty much all diseases that you can think of, chronic disease, are related to inability to control the health of our mitochondria, basically at the cellular level. So being really strategic about this can basically, like I said, it can play a big role in your overall health, not even just now, but long term. And if you think about it too, just in general, your energy levels, how energetic are you throughout the day? Are you getting toward the end of the day and you're just you're basically fatigued, you're exhausted to the point where you don't want to go work out? Studies show that over 55% of people don't go work out because they don't have energy. And think of what all the detrimental effects that has on the body. One thing to think about too, is the types of food you're eating, the macronutrients from the carbs, the fats, the proteins, and the sources that you're pulling from. Knowing that it's okay to fast. Now, if you're not familiar with fasting and or the method of it, obviously consult with someone on the strategy of that, because sometimes everyone needs a little bit of a reset. Their bodies are going through such a process of where they're, eating, used to eating certain amounts of foods, used to taking medications, and all of a sudden they have disrupted the biome, the genome in their body to the point where their body's kind of chaotic, where it offsets their hormones, it offsets the way they regulate to the amount of acid in the body, that offsets the cell, the mitochondria from doing its job. And so sometimes having that ability to go back and look at, okay, is this really the route that I want to go? How can I change it? We have to change certain habits that will actually, the little habits that'll add up making the biggest impact. And so when you think about this too, you look at someone, for example, that has a high carb diet and not as much maybe fats and or proteins. Well, then it's offsetting the amount of not only the inflammation, but how our body's pulling from these sources of energy. And you'll think about, for example, maybe like an athlete, someone that's an avid runner and that's always maybe taking the gel packs. And honestly, that's probably one of the worst things they can do, because if you're basically getting your body, especially a pro athlete that's constantly doing something like that over time, you're basically setting yourself up for failure, because your body is basically not able to utilize its most efficient system, the metabolism, or rather the metabolism of fat, but also your mitochondria. So it's not regulating. It's an inflexible system because of the inability to use that fat, and so it's not pulling from its biggest sources of energy. If you think about the biggest source of energy in your body, it's being able to burn the fat. And so the carbs will give you a little burst of energy, but long term, you want to be able to use that fat. So it's understanding too, sometimes the activity you're involved in, but then also the play on each part of whether from a carb, fat, or protein, and how someone's going about, their structure throughout the day. To keep it simple, it's better probably to focus more on a high protein in the morning, and then as the day goes on, you can either add some carbs in it. Probably better to do it more in the evening as far as more on the carb side. But I like to tend to focus more on the protein to fats within the early morning to lunch period, and then slight carbs throughout maybe the afternoon. So there's a combination of all of them. I don't know to say you can't have carbs. It's just knowing the amount, and it's always about moderation. So the big thing is understanding how to control your powerhouse, how to control the mitochondria, because again, those are the game changers in your body. Whether it helps regulate your immune system, gut health, overall stress, your ability to sleep, your ability to recover, your energy levels, your mood, anything you can think of, because again, it reverts back to the cellular level, and that is again what controls our body. And so have the understanding that you can control this by some simple factors, and at the end of the day, don't make it complicated. Just go back to the main things and say, hey, what were those 3 things again that I can really focus on and work on? 1 was sleep, 2 was your activity level, exercise, and then 3 is diet, stress. So your sleep, the diet, and then stress levels, but inactivity as far as exercise. So, really get good control under those 3, and that's gonna make your whole body basically have more control, so that whenever you're trying to intake those nutrients, you have a better utilization of those nutrients to help the body do its job, then you're not saying, hey body, something's dysregulated, I need a medication, or I need some other route of to solve this problem that's going on. Because here's the thing is, when you get into that system of medications, disease, health issues, it's a system that's set up to keep rolling, to basically keep someone on it because it works, meaning it works for the people that are selling it because they make a lot of money. They make a lot of money off the medications, off the surgeries, off the diseases. It's a crazy system. So you don't want to be part of that. That's not good. You want to be part of what we call longevity, CEO health, meaning you take ownership, autonomy, you do the control, you know the 3 things that you need to work on right now for overall health, overall gut health, overall immune system. And again, that is sleep, your activity level, and your ability to control stress and diet. Thanks.